For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Tabi Madiba. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss the new cabinet and constructive support for the new dawn. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
Since you wrote your column, the calls for the public protector to be removed have gathered momentum. Though Mkhwebane has fought back, is the call for her removal not partisan, being in fact a disguised way of protecting President Ramaphosa and his allies?
It's true that Mkhwebane has been investigating Ramaphosa himself and close ally, as in Pravin Gordhan. But what seems to be the case is that if anyone is partisan, it seems to be the public protector. Because before this, her investigations into some things that concern people like Ace Magashule, the Freer and Zwane, Mosebenzi Zwane, the Freer dairy farm, she omitted investigation of those two who it appears were integrally involved in the farm. But now, in the case of Gordhan particularly, she has revived questions that have been addressed countless times. The Pillay early retirement, Sean Abrams was bringing a court case about a prosecution about this, and he was forced to withdraw it because before Gordhan consented as Minister of Finance then to this early retirement, he had 6 different opinions. And all of the opinions, some legal, some I think public policy, civil service experts, all of them said it was perfectly legal. And so Abrams withdrew the prosecution, and she is reinstituting an investigation as allegedly an irregular decision. And I don't think that this can be good faith in the light of this history. Secondly, she's going into the so-called rogue unit. Even the newspaper who published the stories about an alleged rogue unit in SARS had themselves apologized for that and said that they didn't follow the correct standards. And what's interesting with Mkhwebane, she doesn't say alleged rogue unit, she refers to the rogue unit. So in a sense, before making her findings, the fact that she doesn't say alleged is to me an indication that she is the one who's partisan. Also, the way she issued the findings on Gordhan, it was on the eve of the day of inauguration of Cyril Ramaphosa, when the new cabinet was expected to be announced. So that there seems to be a partisan involvement. The Cyril Ramaphosa donation, I'm not in a position to judge, but it does seem strange that she's spending so much time on these people, and there are a lot of other things that need to be investigated. So I don't think that the attempt to remove her is buttressed by 3 or 4 court cases where they have found not only that she did not apply the law correctly, but that she may have acted in bad faith and that she may be incompetent. So it's not just Cyril Ramaphosa or his supporters.
In your article, you write that we need to be assessing whom we trust, not on the basis of understanding of various doctrines or policies. You say that we need to be sure that they care about the vulnerable, that they have empathy for those who suffer indignity or poverty. That vocabulary needs to be recovered or introduced into our politics. What do you mean by this vocabulary that has been lost or must be introduced?
I've been thinking a lot about this, and when I was involved in the struggle, the concepts over which we argued were things like class, race, national, democratic, words like that. And if you were learned in Marxism or Freedom Charter, that was considered a suitable for leadership. Now, what I'm saying is there's another set of ideas or concepts that are very important if we look at the indifference that is shown to those who are living in poverty, who've lived in poverty without shelter for 25 years of democracy. Do people feel pain about it? Do they have empathy for them? Now, a lot of this language is the language that you will find amongst liberation theologists, feminist theologists, people who believe in the ethics of care, which is a contestable concept, but it's used not just by theologians, but also by social workers and progressive social workers and psychologists. So what I'm saying is, when you get involved in struggle, it's not just intellectual. It is a decision to put your body there, to embrace the pain of the oppressed as your own, and be prepared to take on some of the pain with them. And that is a vocabulary that I believe needs to be introduced or reintroduced. Words like empathy, compassion, solidarity, with more meanings than is usually given. And I think that to me mustn't displace analysis of Freedom Charter and the economy and all of that, but it's a different set of values.
And lastly, you seem to be suggesting that the new cabinet has quite a few people whom are non-performers, and that this results from deals that Ramaphosa has to make in order to remain president. Is that not a fair comment?
Well, I think it is a fair comment. He was supposed to reduce the cabinet by much more than he did. And I think it's still bloated, and it's bloated because he has pressures not to exclude X or Y, because the allies in COSATU and the SACP want this person. He doesn't want to exclude all the Zumaites, although he moved them from key positions, but it also brings in people. And the result has been that you have some important positions in the cabinet that are occupied by people who are non-performers or who do not really care about the tasks that have been allotted to them. And what we are saying then, what I am saying then, is that because there is this constituency, we the taxpayers, we the citizens, must pay more for people who are not going to do their job. Like, what job is Mabuza going to do, for example? I mean, what is Mabuza? What are we paying for Mabuza to be deputy president? What does he add? What are his qualities? And there are a whole lot of others. I don't want to get into personalize everyone. And what, in a sense, we're doing, we're paying to keep Cyril Ramaphosa president, because the condition for him to be president seems to be that he must include some of these duds, some of these people who don't perform, or some of these people who don't care about the people who they're supposed to service. And that's what I mean, and that's what I think is us paying, being held to ransom by the dynamics in the ANC and the alliance.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about the new cabinet and constructive support for the new dawn.